Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Quentin Show. Another exciting show, another exciting guest, all the way from Tennessee. You follow her on social media. She's the goddess Alorah, here to basically do this for you guys. It's called transformation. How do you transform a woman into a goddess? Naturally, she has experience. She's making headlines all over social media. So without further ado, let's welcome Goddess Alorah to the show. What's up, baby girl?
Hello, I'm really good. How are you?
I am doing good. I've been following you on social media. You got all kind of things going on. You went viral. So what we're going to do today on the day show, I'm going to give you 10 questions in 30 minutes. How does that sound?
I like your questions, so I'm game.
Now, before we get started, I want you to keep that microphone close to you, not way out here, so we can hear you clearly and
I'll
understand.
try and I'll keep it right here.
So tell me a little bit about who you are in a nutshell. Who is Alorah?
My best answer is I'm a completely wild and unique human being who's living my life as the goddess alive. And I'm 77. And I like to tell people that because it shows that, I've been doing this for 36 years, ever since I had an awakening from the goddess. And it keeps me pretty ageless.
Now, you just said something. You said, I had an awakening from a goddess. So you're telling me that you had some type of spiritual encounter with some deity?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I was 40, and my husband and I were in a challenging time, and somebody said, you need to meet this shaman, and then you need to meet Jack. We said, who's Jack? He's a shaman. Nobody'd heard that word. He works with some plant medicine from the Amazon. That was way outside the box for me. But we went and met Jack, and we trusted Jack, and we spent 5 or 6 hours laying on Jack's floor with eye shades and earphones on with that spiritual medicine. And I had a being that was green, and she was the most exquisite, beautiful, feminine, loving, compassionate being ever. She had jewels all over herself, and she had no attention on her jewels. And I worked with that shaman. We worked with that shaman for a couple of years. 3 different times she came to me, and I finally realized this is not a hallucination. This is a real being. So,
get that mic closer. So you're telling me that some extraterrestrial came to you in some type of manifestation, but you remember green, and delivered a message to you to become a goddess?
I didn't say she was an extraterrestrial, although that's possible, but that's not what I said.
What was she?
She was a spiritual being that is not in a physical form that you or I would normally see, but which you can see in certain, when you get into, for people who pass, let's just go there. People who pass and come back, they see the beings on the other side who are very, very real, who are often people they've known in their life, and those people are real. And they also see beings like Jesus and stuff who are real. So there is a reality of beings that are not physical like we are, that can show up and be actually as real or more real, truthfully, than we are. We are probably the illusion.
So did you see a face, a figure? How did you know you said green? How did you know it was a female?
Because she was in the body of a female, and she was beautiful, and she had the most, her skin was green, but she also was wearing like something that would have been, think Avatar. You know how in Avatar the bodies and the clothing were almost incidental. It wasn't like dresses. It was more like something on top of a body, but it wasn't like clothes. That's how she...
Put your mic so we can hear you.
Oh, that's how she was dressed. And she was... you have to... The only reason I can tell you this and absolutely prove it to you that it happened is 14 years later when I was in a group of friends and we were talking about the experience. and somebody was videoing the whole thing, I they asked me to talk about that, and I did. And in the process, the energy of that being came into my body, and you see it on film. I can't talk. I can't open my eyes. I'm in ecstasy for 7 or 8 minutes straight on film because of the energy that came in from that being in that moment. Like
so
that.
you became a channeler, so to speak, for this entity.
Well, I became devoted to being the emissary of the divine feminine, and she is, for me, you could just say it's probably Mother Nature. She's green. I mean, she's some deity that is involved with the earth, and I had never cared about the goddess before this happened. I wasn't thinking goddess at all.
Why do you know she was a goddess? How did she identify herself to you?
If she showed up, you would not doubt it. You cannot doubt what this being was. You can't, imagine a being who has green skin and has jewels.
Bring your mic to you.
Green skin and jewels all over her body, and can look at you and see right into the soul of you. You are not going to doubt that. And she's basically formless, except she's form. It's not like you're going to.
Then why not tell you if she's willing, or he or she is willing to come and do all of this? Why not acknowledge what they are, like a name, a something?
Well, I don't really think that she needs a name, but in truth, there is a lineage. Later, I found out about the Green Tara in Tibetan Buddhism. Mm-hmm. And the Green Tara is one of the most profound goddesses in that religion. And she has jewels all over her. And I think the Green Tara is somebody's experience of the goddess who was before the Green Tara. Like, the goddess is the real deal. She's the real thing. And then somewhere along the line in that Asian culture, they began to call her the Green Tara. So you can call her the Green Tara, but I just call her the Green Goddess.
Why does she come to you?
Because I'm a vessel ready to give my life to that. Not many women would do it.
Explain, you ready to give your life to what?
To being her expression, to being an emissary of the divine feminine on the planet every day of my life. Get up, get gorgeous, go goddess, be out in the world, be a loving presence everywhere I go, raise consciousness. Teach.
What were you before that?
I was a mother, wife, and worker, which is what women are raised to be. So I was married, and I had children, and I loved my husband. I loved my kids. We had a business together. So I was a mother, wife, and worker. And I had done enough personal growth work in my younger years, and then with my husband, to be more conscious than most mother, wives, and workers. So I was conscious, and you can ask me what that means, but to me, what consciousness means is self-observation. Are you thinking life is happening to you, or are you thinking life is happening for you? And when you see life happening for you instead of to you, then you begin to do the self-observation that's needed for you to have a life you really desire instead of being constantly at effective life. So I was on that path, and I was a mother, wife, and worker.
So it appears that forces beyond our conception are watching over us and determining by our own actions is what I'm getting from you, whether or not you are ready to take a different life journey is what I'm hearing from you.
I guess you could say that. I never worried about whether I was ready or why she chose me. I think that I was destined for this my whole life.
You think that's a question that you need to ask?
I don't care. Like, I got chosen. I am grateful.
But what if this divine person might have been from the dark side?
You cannot be with her and think that. You cannot be in the love that is what happens through her and think that.
So where is this divine entity now? It left you some type of anointment. So is it going to come back later and get a follow up? I mean, how is it dictating its mission when you don't really know exactly what the mission is?
I do know the mission. I've been telling you, my mission is to be the demonstration. That's it in the
Mm-hmm.
nutshell. When I spoke with a person that channels in I forgot what the psychic. When I first was making the shift to let go of my focus on my human life and become her expression in an everyday way, I was like, how am I going to support my family? How do I make money doing this? And I kept
This is what you was asking the goddess.
I was asking the psychic. I was talking to the psychic, and she kept saying, I kept saying, what am I supposed to do? Like, okay, I've been a business forms broker. How am I going to stop doing that and start doing something deeply meaningful that is awakening people to their own divinity, being an experience of unconditional love with every person I meet? How am I going to do that and pay my bills? That was what was going on inside me. And I was asking her about that, and she kept saying, you are to be the demonstration. You are to be the demonstration. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? How do I make money doing that? But that interview was probably 30 years ago, and I have become the demonstration. I am more than ever, I am a living demonstration of what it is to live your life as an emissary of the divine feminine, to dress that way, to love that way, to teach that, to be that, and that I stay vital and ageless through doing it. That's really the thing that ends up being demonstrated, is how it does allow me to be almost impervious to time. Not that I don't see time on my body, but I, for the most part, don't see time on my body. Most are my spirit. So the more I age, the more valuable I become as the demonstration.
Okay, so we're going to go with 10 questions in the next 30 minutes. My first question is, what does the goddess archetype look like in a modern everyday context?
In a modern everyday context, it is having women step from the idea of their identity being mother, wife, or worker to mother, child, and holy goddess. The Christian tradition has Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, right? Well, and for a woman, mothering is in us. I'm not asking that to be released at all. I want that in myself and in all women. The child, that's the free, fun, effervescent energy of woman, and it is what makes women magical. That's an important part to keep alive in yourself. And holy goddess, you don't need a husband, kids, a job. You don't need anything to be your holy goddess self. You get to be that sovereign, beautiful, sensual, wise, powerful being because you are, not because you're married, not because you do any of those things.
Mm-hmm. My next question, how do you balance the divine feminine with the beast drive needed to succeed in business?
That I don't think I've done very well.
And why is that?
Because you do have to really do a lot of drive in business. And I've never wanted to be a businesswoman because I hear that word as busyness. Who wants to be a busyness woman? I want to be, I would rather be I forgot. I used to have another word for it, but anyway. So I never really was willing to put myself deep. I was in business before this, but after that, I never put myself into a deeply disciplined structure, and I, kept being somehow provided for, and things kept being fine. So I've been more like an artist living without doing the beast stuff. And I regret some of it now because I am 77 and I do recognize, oh, you can't keep saying someday. You got to get your act together and get your products out and get your courses, and you got to do the business. So it's here. And, here it is.
It makes sense. My next question, what's the first steps that someone has to take or need to take to see the divine within themselves?
There's an actually simple and powerful answer to that. And that is change what you're wearing when you're at home and you see yourself in your daily life. You may not be able to go to work as the goddess or as the god, but you can dress that way at home and begin to put into your psyche that the truth of who you are is that. It is not this man with these shirts and things on. You are actually a divine man, masculine being. And when you wear timeless attire that looks like those ancient regal times, you start seeing yourself that way.
Is true surrender a sign of weakness or the ultimate form of spiritual strength?
Depends on what you think you're surrendering. So if you ask me about surrender, what is it that needs to be surrendered? What needs to be surrendered is your ego identity.
Wow. Okay. My next question. How do you...
You don't like to go deep into any of these. We're just racing through them. Okay.
No, I'm letting you speak. So my next question is, how do you describe your spiritual mission to someone who has never explored that side of themselves?
How do I describe my spiritual mission? I call people out of their story and into their glory. Everybody's got their story. A lot of people love their story. A lot of people hate their story. And the ones who hate their story tend to suffer more than the people who love their story. But nevertheless, I can be with any human being who's willing to show up with me, and I can share a moment with them with eye contact and close presence that will have them experience something beyond their story. I can see the glory in them, and I can have them find it in themselves. And then I do it by dressing them that way so they see it. Okay?
Let's talk about relationships and sexuality. Let's talk about, this is my question. How does your spirituality change the way you approach dating and romance and partnership?
Well, I would say that the only partner I could ever have would be somebody who has already developed something similar in themselves. They have a spiritual life. So somebody who is already related to that consciousness. But I had a really beautiful long marriage, and my husband died in 2001. So that's 26 years ago. And in that period of time, I've been very involved in my constant teaching and ministry, and I haven't searched for a partner. So I don't think dating is, I think dating is a mess. I would love to give singles new ways of connecting with each other that will deepen their connection quickly. So I'm passionate about my teachings. And that's where my erotic energy lives, is really in my teachings and how I do teach and move and be with people.
My next question. What does scared mean when it comes to intimacy, and how can a couple evaluate their connection?
What does scared mean when it comes to intimacy? I think people are afraid to be authentic in their relationships, because most of us are creating relationships that are an identity. See, I'm me, you're you. When we get in a relationship, we create a we. And the we has an identity. And so you say, okay, let's get married, let's become husband and wife. Well, inside that identity, I can't really share with you safely things that threaten that identity, nor can you with me. So it ends up over time creating pretense in the relationship because you don't think you can be truly authentic. And there is an experience in true authenticity that can accept everything and find you more connected than ever before. When you actually get authentic with somebody, no kidding, even beyond your fear of how they're going to think, if they are able to be in the space with you the way it's possible, takes some, it's not like somebody off the street can just go to that space, but you can, with awareness, step into that space. And then you find out that's where real intimacy happens. It happens in the truth of who you are and how you feel, and being honest about things that are uncomfortable to be honest about.
Wow. Learning a lot, guys. Hope you're listening. My next question. How do you distinguish between an ego-based connection and a soul level connection?
I think soul level connection is happening through practices that are nonverbal for the most part. So mostly we talk to each other and we talk from our egos and we talk about what we've done and who we and this happened to me, and it's all story, right? So that's the story always falling out of your mouth. If I can lay with you and gaze with you with music and no words, I can see your soul, and if you're open to letting me see your soul, you will.
Bring that mic over so we can hear. Say what now?
I could lay down with you and gaze with you close and breathe with you, and we would go into a soul connection as long as you're willing to do it. If you can't do it, if you can't hold my gaze and your eyes are running around, you won't get there. But if you do, relax into it and be with me, you will have an experience of a soul connection.
Interesting. What is the biggest mistake people make in their pursuit of intimacy, and how can they shift it?
You've heard me say this before. I think the biggest mistake people make in their pursuit of intimacy is really the biggest mistake is that we are not trained in this at all. It's the most important thing in anybody's life. Nobody gets any real training for it. Nobody gets any training about sex. Nobody gets any training about intimacy. It's pathetic. So the chances for people to really be successful in their relationships is not much. So the question, say it to me again.
The question is, what is the biggest mistake that people make in their pursuit of intimacy, and how can they fix it?
Okay, so what my feeling is people go too quickly from talking into what I call liquid love. You don't like that term, but it's better than the other one I was using. So when people start liquid kissing, it starts a motor in the body that wants to get sexual. And when your body hasn't been touched in a long time, and then all of a sudden you find somebody you're connecting with, the body takes over, and often you end up in that experience quickly. And that experience for women can be huge, and they want it more. And that experience for men can be fine, but not really that significant. I've had women come to me and go, we just had this amazing experience and he hasn't called. And so all the issues show up if you get sexual quickly. Who else are you doing this with? What does it mean? What's your health history? How much money do you make? All the stuff shows up when you start jumping into sexuality, but nobody knows what else to do. So they jump. My teachings fill the gap between talking and actual sexuality. And they will build a foundation that will give you a different future if you take the time to build the foundation.
What kind of resistance, before we wrap up, what kind of resistance have you been met with? I know you've been met with a lot of positive. Let's talk about the negative resistance that you've been getting, and how has that helped you to better deliver your message, or you just don't pay it any attention?
Well, I'm trying to think what you might even be referencing. What kind of resistance are you talking about?
There's people that's going to like this message, and there's people that's not going to like it. So what about the people that don't like it? Why haven't they accepted it?
They don't even show up on my screen. I mean,
so you mean everything? You haven't been met with any skepticism or question about this whole agenda that you're marketing?
Mostly not. No, because it's
mostly not. So.
Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything. I mean, I haven't had anybody post stuff about me being, I have had no negative press about me, and I've been on TV and I've been on podcasts, and I don't hide what I'm doing. So I haven't had anything but love come to me from all of those things. I do think that I attract to me people who are already attracted by me, and the ones who aren't, I don't need to worry about them. They'll come when they're ready, if they're ready. And I'm always here. Like your friend. Like, I took a moment to say, I don't treat people like they're incidental. I try to give it's so funny to look at what are some of the experiences that you treasure. And for me, some of the experiences I treasure are some of the least likely to be treasured. Like when I was with a videographer who had flown in from Florida to film me. It was morning, and we went down to the ocean to get pictures of me wind dancing, but the tide was in, so we couldn't use the ocean. So we went out on the pier, and way out on the pier in the early morning, the only people there are fishermen and drunks. And there were several drunks out on the pier, and I was wind dancing, and this one was coming at me, and the videographer didn't know quite what to do. And the man came up to me, and he was trying to show me there was a place where the sound would be amplified. And so I got that. And then I took a moment and looked at him, and I just looked at him for a moment, and I said, "I see you." And he said, "I'm a good person." And I said, "I see you." And then we hugged, and it was a beautiful moment.
Get that mic over so we can hear you.
It was a beautiful moment to share with that man, to just give him for a moment a goddess blessing. So I get joy out of that kind of presence in people's lives. And I don't have any naysayers. There's nobody that's ever gotten angry at me for what I do. Or
has the goddess reached out to you anymore?
Not in the way that I experienced early. Where I did, books poured through me, songs poured through me. So a lot poured through me. And I haven't done much with all of that. I'm on the verge of making it all public, but I kind of think she's saying, get that out, and maybe I'll show up and talk to you again.
Okay. My last question, and let me say thank you so much for taking time to come on the show and provide us with truly an educational moment about history, goddess, and transformation. My last question is, how do you navigate the balance between being a powerful, independent person and allowing yourself to be supported by a partner?
I don't have a partner, so it's not been. I welcome a partner who wants to support me, and so far that has not been my blessing yet. So you have to ask me the question in a way that I, as a single woman, can answer this question. What's the question again? What are you smiling over there at, too?
Because you're trying to change my question. I'm gonna redo this last question.
All right.
So, how do you navigate the balance between being a powerful, independent woman in society?
I be extremely loving and fun, and why I be intrusive. I go into spaces in a fun, intrusive way, and I bring the unexpected. I get them dancing on the edge of the ocean. I get people hugging me that never thought they would, or I just be kind of like a wild, fun, crazy woman, and it brings the fun, and people love me for it, and I love doing it. So that's how I engage the normal world a lot, but mostly I just keep constantly going right into somebody's eyes and saying, hello, hello, hello. I did it with your friend here. You just take a moment and don't pretend to meet them.
How can the viewers reach out to you and know more about what you have to offer in the transformation?
I am on TikTok at Goddess Alive, and you can message me there. That's one very fun way. I have...
Bring your microphone up once again.
You can also email me and I would say for this, do goddessalivemedia@gmail.com, because anything coming in from the media, I want to be able to track it to you and thank you for it or other things. So those are the two best ways.
Sounds like a winner. Guys, Alorah, thank you so much for taking time to come on the show. Make sure you guys subscribe. Click that button. All it takes is one click to make a difference in your life or change somebody else's. This has been another, and I do mean another, exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show.